that often we can think of the traditions that we hold dear, and that we most suppose that some of them are these like age-old traditions. And I'm going to start by talking about the diamond engagement ring. So all wives in the room, if you have one, I know Tracy doesn't, but grab your diamond. Everyone but my wife, hold your diamond engagement ring. Now, you probably think that when you got that, it was some like age-old, 1,000-year tradition started by the warmth and wisdom of the elders and generations past. But they originally were just a metal band. I mean, if you think about throughout history and the wealth levels of different areas in time, if it was a diamond ring throughout much of history in the way we think of it today, no one would have been getting married, right? But they originated in Rome, and they were just a metal band. But the diamond engagement ring came into play, and it's actually an extremely modern custom. So English businessman Cecil Rhodes, he started De Beers Mining Company in 1888. And De Beers had a monopoly on the world's supply of diamonds. And in much of the 1900s, diamonds weren't worth that much. They weren't worth what we consider them now. And during the 1930s, their price was actually at an all-time low. And De Beers Mining Company, they had a plan. And I don't know, they should make a movie about this. It's actually amazing what they managed to do with this cheap item. During the 1940s, De Beers launched an amazing multi-pronged campaign across multiple countries and across varying different spheres of life. They created a campaign which compelled every person, an advertising campaign, telling every person pledging marriage to acquire a diamond engagement ring. They insisted that a month's salary was the appropriate sum for a young man to spend on a ring for his beloved, as in the advertising literally stated that. And this wasn't an oral, like I said, this wasn't an oral tradition originating from the warmth and wisdom of the elders. The company that sold diamonds started this tradition. And they marketed diamond jewelry with this large global advertising campaign dictating with the words a month's salary should be spent on an engagement ring. And of course, it was a masterstroke, and we know now that the saying is that should be 2 or 3 months. And advertising equated diamonds with the size of your love. They set out to convince lovers that the size of the rock they sold was directly proportional to the ferocity of the affection involved. They forged an emotional link between their product and love. Not only did they use this multi-pronged marketing campaign, but in 1947, they sent lecturers across the high schools of the United States, lecturers, and in their own words, all of these lectures revolved around the diamond engagement ring and are reaching thousands of girls in their assemblies, classes, and informal meetings in our leading educational institutions. The agency explained in a memorandum to De Beers, we have infiltrated the schools and convinced girls at a young age that when they get married, they need to have a diamond engagement ring. In Hollywood, they stepped it up. Hollywood actresses began to wear diamonds in all the hit films, and at award shows, of course, De Beers gave them the glittering jewelry to wear. They reinforced links between diamonds and romance with celebrity stories in magazines. So when women used to read their stories and read the love stories in the magazines, there was always a diamond involved. In 1946, a weekly service called Hollywood Personalities provided 125 leading newspapers with descriptions of the diamonds worn by movie stars. They literally had stories and descriptions of what different movie stars' diamonds looked like. In 1947, the agency commissioned a series of portraits of engaged socialites. If you think about it, we still have this today. This is where the custom of people following celebrities getting engaged and thinking it's the biggest deal on earth and following what they're up to and what the wedding was like. This is where it started. De Beers Mining Company, thank you very much, started this tradition. And of course, De Beers supplied the diamonds, and the descriptions of the diamonds you would read were, of course, huge. Now, we think paid content on our news sites is a new thing. Think again, this has been going on for a while. The idea was to create prestigious role models for the middle-class wage earners. And in 1948, they wrote in their own strategy paper, "We spread the word of diamonds worn by stars of screen and stage, by wives and daughters of political leaders, by any woman who can make the grocer's wife and the mechanic's sweetheart say, 'I wish I had what she has.'" With, of course, those who could most easily afford it being the ones who would receive the diamonds for free, and those that had to work hard to get it are the ones that now have to meet that standard and that image set. During the 1940s, this campaign is where these famous sayings we have today came from. "Diamonds are forever" is a saying they brought out to persuade women that diamonds were synonymous with an unbreakable romance. And what they did is they set out to create a culture where there's no such thing as a second-hand diamond. Where if you have a diamond, it needs to stay in the family. Because you can't have people buying second-hand diamonds. You can't have people wearing, it needs to be a new diamond so they continue to make money. In 1949, a musical, they produced the phrase, "Diamonds are a girl's best friend," another song designed to continue this campaign to promote diamonds. The results were staggering. They couldn't even believe their own success. In 1938 and 1941, when they began this campaign, this is the beginning, their sales increased 55% in 3 years. When the campaign launched in 1967, after moving beyond the Western world, they started to target other countries. In 1967, they targeted Japan. Fewer than 5% of Japanese women had a diamond engagement ring. By 1981, so in just 14 years, 60% did, turning the country into what is now the world's second biggest market for diamonds. In the 1990s, I want you to realize how recent this is. In the 1990s, De Beers turned its sight on China as China became even wealthier. The practice of engagement rings barely existed in China. De Beers got involved, and now in such a short period of time since the 90s, a third of Chinese women have an engagement ring. So why? Why was this campaign necessary? I mean, we know their motive. They wanted to make money. You can't begrudge them that. Every company advertises. Every company wants to make money. But why did they need to go to this length? Well, for starters, they needed to start with something called the diamond invention. The first thing they needed to do was to create the idea that diamonds are rare and valuable. Here's the truth. They're not. Diamonds are not rare. In fact, they estimate there's still a quadrillion. That's right, I don't actually even know how many billions or trillions that is. They estimate there is a quadrillion diamonds. No, a quadrillion ton of diamonds. There's a quadrillion tons of diamonds for them to still dig up. It's just one company has the lion's share. And so what they needed to do, because they realized what they had is so common that it's not worth very much, they needed to create the illusion that these things are rare. And who agrees they did a good job? They did an amazing job. It's now part of our culture. So I'm not here to speak out against diamonds. I'm here to show you how this world works and how it can set our eyes on what is valuable, how it can actually set in our hearts like the things we need to have, what is valuable, what is worth pursuing, what is worth throwing money at. It can even create in our minds, a sense of rarity and value and uniqueness when really these things are actually common. Today, there is a worrying glut of them. That's how common these things are. There's too many in the world. So here in Western Australia, we mine diamonds. And you may have heard of the Argyle Diamond Mine. Well, they believe it's going to shut down at the end of this year because there's too many diamonds. So I want you to imagine now, I want you to think about that and how we now regard diamonds today. Now, I want you to imagine perchance, and stay with me here, okay? Just stay with me. Let's just say pineapples became the new status symbol. In 50 years, pineapples became the new status symbol we're all chasing after. Imagine if pineapples became like diamonds. Imagine if the pineapple was the must-have accessory at any elite household. Any Keeping Up the Joneses household, you need to have a pineapple. Imagine those that have a pineapple sitting in the middle of their table, and if you walk in, you see a pineapple there, you gasp, like, whoa, nice pineapple. That's a nice pineapple you've got there sitting on your table. I can't believe it. That's wow, what a great pineapple. Imagine if your wedding, your child's birthday, graduation party, anniversary party, whatever it is, if there wasn't a pineapple sitting there in the middle of the table, people walked in and they thought they were at somewhere trashy. They thought they were at somewhere lower class. Imagine if pineapples is how people showed that they were a person of means, a person of influence, a person of resource, a person living large. Imagine you'd save up for years to be able to afford to, you know what, one day, my 50th's coming up. I wonder upon wonder if I could have a pineapple sitting in the table. And imagine if pineapples were so regarded that you needed security guards to even walk down the street with them. Imagine if you had to walk down the street holding with security guards if you had a pineapple. Imagine if people started to catch on, you know what, the average person, they can't afford these things. What if we start a pineapple rental service and have people thinking, you know what, I could just hire the pineapple. You know, I've got my kid's birthday coming up. You know, it's a big affair. It's the 15th. I want to have a pineapple in the middle of the table for everyone to look at. Imagine if you had that job interview or you wanted to impress that boss. You wanted to impress your neighbor. And so you would hire a pineapple and you would like walk around carrying. What if you just walked down Main Street carrying a pineapple? That's still a thing, right? Main Street? That's still a thing, right? Imagine if you walked down Main Street just holding a pineapple that you hired just to, you know, raise your stocks in certain people's eyes. Imagine if at a party, the greatest thing you could walk around with was a pineapple. That if you walked around a party with a pineapple, that was like Beats by Dre headphones, you know, like that was it. You're walking around with a pineapple. Imagine if you had a pineapple in your life, like you had made it. That was the sign you'd made it. That was the cream of the crop. Now, some of you're kind of nervously laughing. Some of you think I've lost the plot. Some of you are like, not your best illustration, Dan. I mean, I had to force a few laughs. And we can all laugh about it, except what I want to tell you is this. Everything I just went through is 100% true for 250 years in a period of history. I wasn't doing that as some joke to ridicule diamonds. I'm more just showing how things change. In fact, diamonds seem to have already, I'm hearing of now our famous Argyle diamond mine closing down from the glut of diamonds in the world. Pineapples lasted 250 years. Pineapples as a status symbol, as the sign of the elite, lasted for 250 years during the 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s. For 250 years, the pineapple was the signpost you had made it. It was the signpost that, you know, this party was worth being at. This guy's made it. This is a man of resource. This is a man of influence. Look what this guy has got. Now, I picked this up for under $5 from Spud Shed. It was in a pile. No care, no respect had been put into that pile of pineapples. Imagine the people back then looking at that pile of $5 pineapples today and seeing the way we treated them, the way we regarded them. During that time, pineapples could go from anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000 for a really good one. I don't know how they judge the good ones, but that was so valuable you wouldn't eat a pineapple. You didn't eat a pineapple. Who eats a pineapple? Eating a pineapple, you know, it would be like that guy who uses a $100 bill to light his cigar. Like, he's really showing off. If you were to eat a pineapple, you would make sure you had everyone around. You would make sure, the people that were in on it were like, you going to eat the pineapple yet? Not everyone's here yet. We need to wait till everyone's here. One of the guests, like, I'm really getting tired. Hey, we're going to head home. No, don't go yet. Oh, you want me to wait to blow the candles out, till you blow the candles out on the birthday? No, I've got something else prepared. I want you to watch me eat the pineapple. When you told people you were going to eat a pineapple, they were like, are you kidding me? You're going to eat that? We could rent this out for months. Usually the pineapple's being rented out. That's right. I wasn't joking. There was pineapple rental services, and security guards had to guard pineapples. There was such a thing as pineapple thieves. That was a thing. Pineapple thieves. There's people in Australia sent here, descended from people that were sent here because they were pineapple thieves. I looked it up. It's real. It's true. I'm not joking about any of this. And if you were going to eat that pineapple, it meant you were really, really wealthy because you had to eat it when it was fresh, of course. You know, nothing would be worse of telling everyone, I'm going to eat a pineapple. I'm having a party, and everyone come around, you're going to see me eat a pineapple. Imagine the embarrassment as you cut into it. It was rotten. It had gone off. The majority of pineapples going around everywhere were actually rotten, but no one knew. This was the state of pineapples. Ambitious people trying to improve their station in life with pineapples, renting them. Imagine that. Oh, Jeff, I see you have a pineapple under your arm. Your stock just went up in my books. You're all right. Okay, great. So pineapples were once insanely valuable, and now they're not. And great, diamonds were once relatively valueless, and now they're synonymous with that which is of great worth. Things change. What's the point of me bringing this up? See, there's nothing wrong with having a diamond ring. There's nothing wrong with having a pineapple. You want to be a pineapple elite, you go for it. There's nothing wrong with these things. What I want us to be aware of is just how adept this world is at dictating to us what has value and what does not. What is important and what is not. What is to be lifted high and what is relatively valueless. What is to be pursued and what is maybe optional in life. This world is so adept. It is so good at telling us how to think, what to value, what to treasure. And the thing is, we can hear about the strategies, the techniques that De Beers Mining Company used in so many facets of life, in so many areas to literally transform the way we think and regard life, the way we think and regard value and what is important and what is not. But that's something we're aware of. So many different spheres of our life, from the media, movies, TV, songs, everything you see, what people will tell you, what people will speak to you. Remember, when the word tells us that the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God, and the foolishness, lost it, but you get me. The wisdom of this world is foolishness to God, but the wisdom of God is foolishness to this world. It's talking about the fact that we can go through life, and if we're not washing ourselves with the word, we are being told and conformed to the image of this world and what it's telling us we should value, what it's telling us we should pursue, what it's telling us we should go after. We live in a time where that which is precious to God is under attack. Marriage is under attack. The family unit is under attack. The preborn are under attack. All sorts of things which are precious to God are under attack and are being devalued. And the things of this world are being lifted up. They're being lifted up in the spotlight. They're being placed up. And even us as believers, if we don't make sure that we're washing ourselves with the word, we will chase after these things. And we may still love God. We may still be believers. But what we'll do is we'll have an incorrect cascading list of priorities. That which we call precious will be out of sync. It will be out of order. Matthew 6 says this, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And correctly, this means, put your money where your mouth is. Where your treasure is, where you put money, where you put resource, what you sow into, that's where your heart is. But also, as well as just saying, where put your money where your mouth is, it's also saying, look, what you treasure, your heart will follow. what you treasure, what I treasure, your heart will follow after these things. If you treasure God, the things of God, the ways of God, the kingdom of God, if you treasure his humility, his mercy, his grace, if you treasure kindness, compassion, if you treasure these things, your heart will follow and it will fall in love with them. It will fall in love with a different way of living that's different than the pattern of this world. The next verse says this: the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Many translations say God and money, but the correct word is mammon, which is the spirit behind money, behind the world financial system. And so we all know that saying, money is the root of all evil. You all heard that saying? It's actually a misquote. I intentionally misquoted it because that's the saying that people say today. But it's incorrect. Money is not the root of all evil. In fact, we need money. We're meant to have money. We're meant to give God offerings from our money. We're meant to be generous with money. We're meant to provide shelter with money. We need to provide food with money. We wouldn't have this building if we didn't have money. We wouldn't have all that we have to serve God, to build his kingdom without money. There is nothing wrong with money. What the scripture says is that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. In 1 Timothy 6, godliness with contentment is great gain. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. The love of money will cause all sorts of grief for your life. And here's the thing. You could actually have a lot of money, but you're not in love with it. It doesn't own you. It doesn't run you. And you can have no money, but you love money. Isn't that crazy? You can be exceedingly wealthy, but money has not gripped your heart. In fact, it's a tool to be used to bless others, to bless your family, to build the kingdom. And you can have no money, but you're so in love with it. You crave it. It grips you. It gives you your priorities. It tells you your focus. It tells you what you should love. It tells you the pineapple. This is it. This is living. This is life. I mean, we can say that and we can laugh. Imagine someone running after a pineapple in life. But we do it. It's just we've been told by this generation a different set of priorities. These are common now. We're not going to fall for it. We're not going to fall for the trick. It had its time in the sun. Pineapples, you did exceedingly well. You fooled 250 years worth of people. But your time is over. You're now just in spud shed, upside down in a pile in the bargain bin basement for $5. At least IGA had the good nerve to cut the top off of you and prepare you properly and charge a premium, but you're nothing. Maybe this is the attitude, though, we need to have with a lot of what this world is putting in front of us and telling us to chase. This is what it's about. This is what you should chase. This is what you should be after. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with pineapples. There's nothing wrong with diamonds. It's the love of them. It's them taking a throne, taking a place above higher priorities, above higher values. We just need to have the right descending list of what is precious and what is not. Pineapples were once the peak of it. People went to jail. People got sent to Australia for it. People got sent to Australia. Who would want to get sent here? People got sent to Australia for stealing these things. See, the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And just as we read in Matthew 6, when it says, you will either love the one and hate the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. See, if our love is out of whack, if our love is out of sync, if we're chasing after the wrong things, well, you know what? We can believe in this God. We can believe in his ways. But he'll become the inconvenience to what we really want to chase. He becomes the inconvenient truth. He becomes the inconvenient truth to what our hearts are really after. But guess what? If we put him in his right place, if we love God first, if we're devoted to God first, money, whether you have it or not, money becomes this tool that you rule instead of this thing that rules over you. And so does every other area of your life. You know, my hope and dream for every one of you is that you all have nice things. I want pineapples in every one of your life. You know, me and Tracy's goal in life is not, I just got to admit to you, I've got to confess something here. Our goal in life is not to have the worst of everything. But may they never rule us. May they never take their place above a higher values. You know, when God blessed us with our home, we said, this place will be a hospital. This place will be a place of prayer. This can be a place. We full on. We even, if you've ever been to my place, you'll notice, even though I love the place, it's relatively modest, but we think it's great. But we built it 13 meters long, our main living area. We said we don't need a al fresco. And we built a patio later, and that's huge. You should see it, 88 square meters, I'm telling you. But anyway, we built it long because we said, you know what? We could see meetings happening here. We can see people praying in here. Everything we've done in our house, we've done for the glory of God. Your cars, may your cars be comfortable. You know why? Because may they be an ambulance. May your cars be a counseling couch. May it be somewhere where you give people lifts. You take them where they need to go. May every area of your life, may your resource, may you be rich, may you be resourced. Why? So you can bless others and look after your family and give good things to your family. None of these things are wrong. There's nothing wrong with these things. But when they get out of order, how can money be evil? We're meant to give offerings with it. We're meant to work hard. We're meant to thrive. We're called to be the best employee in our workplace. You're called to be the best student you can be, the best business owner you can be, the best employee you can be. We're called to be those things. But when we love that and make a God out of that which was never meant to be a God, things get out of sync and it can cause all sorts of grief for our lives. The number one thing we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen is we need to make sure that where our treasure is, our heart is. Romans 12 says, love must be sincere. So every single one of us, we love God. But we need to make sure our love is sincere. Hate what is evil, cling to what is good. If we love God, we love his ways, we love his life. If we love mercy, grace, kindness, compassion, humility, all the attributes of God, joy, peace. If we love them, they'll be easier to walk in. If it has to always be discipline, you know what, I really want to chase these things, but I'm a Christian and so I guess I've got to live this way. It's going to be difficult. But if we fall in love with the picture of who God's called us to be, if we fall in love with who he's called us to be, if the attributes of God take their highest place, if God takes his throne, it becomes easy because we're actually in love now with what we're pursuing. There's nothing worse with having to pursue something you hate. If you struggle with pride, imagine, and you love pride, imagine having to chase and pursue humility. If you're kind of mean-spirited, imagine having to chase kindness. If you've got no mercy and you're not gracious and merciful to people, well, then imagine having to chase after those things. It all becomes about discipline rather than simply falling in love with the picture of who God has called us to be. You see, if God is precious, money becomes a valuable tool I use to serve him. If money and God then switch places, well, then how do I use God to find what I find, to gain what I find to be truly precious? And God becomes the means to an end instead of the end itself. Instead of being in the throne in the prime position, God becomes the tool. I want to use the wisdom of God to succeed in my workplace. I want to use the wisdom of God to succeed in my studies, in my life. That's great. The wisdom of God is great. Use it. But rather than using it to achieve an end, fall in love with the wisdom of God. Fall in love with the ways of God. And you will naturally walk in it because you love it. It's no longer a sacrifice, but you're now walking in what you love. If your only motivation for things is, well, how do I manage my finances God's way in order to be blessed? How do I use God's way? If this is your motivation for everything, well, you're going to find it a lot harder to walk in his ways because it's you being disciplined. It's you sacrificing, you dying to yourself. And life is full of that. The Christian walk is full of that. But I'm telling you, the Christian walk, the kingdom walk becomes so much easier when you simply fall in love with what you're meant to fall in love with. With spirit man and with flesh man. And the flesh longs for one thing, the spirit longs for other. But the more you learn to fall in love with the right thing, the easier it becomes. May the cascading order of what is precious in your life use the word of God to bring that into correct order. Psalm 19:7 says, and if I could have Darcy just come and help me on the keys. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. And it goes on to say this, they are more precious than gold. Than much pure gold, they are sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. By them your servant is warned, in keeping them there is great reward. And so I know all of you, there's a love for God. I know all of you, there's this side of every single one of us has this desire, this heart that is for God. But if we can fall in love with his ways, if we can realize the benefits of his life in our life, if we realize that, if we see that, walking his path no longer becomes this thing I have to do. It becomes this thing I want to do. And I'm falling in love with it more and more day by day. When I read that Psalm 19, is that how you regard these things? Do they have the same effect on you? If you had to choose between God's ways and abundant wealth, where would your heart naturally lead? Where would you naturally lead towards? Many people do the right thing, and that's awesome, and they do it out of discipline. But what I want to tell you is when we set that which is precious, that which is truly precious in its rightful place, then we won't chase after the pineapples of life and putting them in their incorrect place. It's funny because with an eternal view, we look at something like a pineapple and we say, how could I ever put you before God? How could I ever put you before his ways? How could I ever chase after you before God's ways, his life, his love, all that he has for me? But the truth is, we have the pineapples of our age. May you be blessed, but may the blessing never become the highest, most precious goal. May it sit below God as God is on his throne. May God, your family, the kingdom, his life, all these things sit at the top. And may the blessings of God, the things of this world, the pineapples, the diamonds, may they sit far down between. Why don't you all stand to your feet?